This is a 6-step guide to create a Wonderkid factory in Football Manager. So the first tip is to judge the potential of a player you have found and maybe think can become a Wonderkid. So I usually look at the player's stats to determine how good they will become after I have scouted them, and I look at their stats and see how many stats they have that are over 15. As we can see here on Sedomir Popovic, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that is a really good step to become a Wonderkid, because he has so many stats over 15 already. But sometimes they can't become Wonderkids or very useful because all their stats is mental or physical and don't have many technical stats where they aren't great. But he has 4 that are 16, so that is very good. Plus he has some mental stats and physical stats as well. Another way to see if they can become a Wonderkid if they have a lot of yellow stats. So even though there is not as many 15 plus ratings as you'd like, they can still become a Wonderkid if they have a lot of yellow stats, which is 11 to 15. So if they had a lot of yellow stats over in the technical area but doesn't have many over 15, maybe only once or twice, it can still become a Wonderkid because he's so overall balanced. And I would say that if they have 5 to 6 or more stats that are over 15 at 18, 19 years of age, they can become a Wonderkid. But again, it's important that they have some in the technical area as well, because if it's just physicals and mentals, they might not be good technical and then they can't be used. So if there is a lot of yellow stats, it can also be a good sign of a Wonderkid, even though there isn't 5 to 6 stats that are 15 plus. For example, when I bought this player, he was only 17, so all his stats for becoming a wingback wasn't there yet. They were all white, some 8 to 9. But now you can see his first touch has gone up, and crossing and dribbling has also gone up from when he started, and he's now on 7 stats that are 15 plus. So I think he'll become a Wonderkid, and when he's good enough to play for my team, he will go into the starting lineup and will become a very important player on the left back position. Now we got step 2, and it is South America, and especially Brazil, Argentina and Colombia. But you can scout the whole thing. I have also found some very good Wonderkids from Costa Rica, and there has also been some very good runs from Chile and Mexico. And this is how you set up your scouting recruitment. And it's not just South America I recommend scouting. I recommend scouting Eastern Europe as well, especially Serbia, Romania and Croatia, and then also Scandinavia. So this is how you set up a scouting recruitment focus. Just put it on transfer, ongoing, and the minimum current abilities depending on how good your team is. I'm gonna put it on 1 star so I can get a lot of players in, and then minimum of 3 stars, and then just choose the region. Europe, I can't find the region here from Scandinavia, so I'm just gonna pick the nations. And then there's also Finland in Scandinavia, but I haven't loaded up the Finnish league. And then just confirm and start. You could name it the region you're scouting. Step 3 is to look at national teams and that are good at producing Wonderkids, and then look at the team and see if they have any exceptionally young players in the team. Spain doesn't have at the first team. You can see here at the under 21s team they have a 17-year-old goalkeeper, and he can become a decent player. So maybe you find a hidden Wonderkid here going through the national teams, and especially if you look for not as good nations as Spain, you will also find someone that plays for the first team that are 17 years old. It can be like, look here at Costa Rica, they have 2 17 years old, at the first team, so they can become a decent player for Premier League teams, and in this case the first division in Portugal, but they aren't good enough to join my team. But you can still find some hidden gems here sometimes. And when you're looking at the national teams, especially in Spain, it is also very good to look at the youth teams at the big clubs, for example Barcelona, Real Madrid, Atletico, and even some of the others, where they typical only have a youth contract. A lot of the players at the Barcelona under 19 team has gotten a youth contract. That means you can try and see if they want to play for you, and of course scout them first and then see if they are good enough to play for you. So just scout and you can approach to sign. And if you're lucky, he wants to join your club, and you can get a lot of these, and they can develop by loaning them out and playing in your B teams and so on. So the fourth step is to look at young player nominees. This step is best for the teams that aren't the biggest teams in the world, but if you are at a big club, then you can look at players from bigger teams as well. You can look at the Golden Boy, under 21 player of the year, and especially NXGN. At NXGN you get a list of the 50 best under 19 players. You then have to look at the players that are not big or well-known teams. Basically teams that won't ask for much money. You're just going to scout every player from a small team or a team you don't know. Then just look at the best players and buy. So as you can see here on this list, I could look at him. He's from Dynamo, and then I could scout him. If I was at a bigger club, I could buy him, but if I'm at a smaller club with not as big of a budget, I could maybe look at this player from Molde. He might be good for a lower league side right now, maybe for the championship or the second division in Portugal. And then maybe this guy from Cruz Azul, he can become a good player as well, but he's not at a big club, so he's going to be cheaper than some of the other players. Player from Real Madrid, Diego Esteves, he's going to be a lot more expensive because he is at a bigger club. And then you can just scout the players and see which one you can afford and which ones that want to play for you. And if they don't want to join you, you can see if you can loan the player. So the last step is step 6, and it is the performance. So if a player has some attributes above 15, a good amount of yellow stats, then look at the player, how the player performs, because if he is an attacker, can he score goals? Because if he just have the good stats but can't score goals, he's useless even though he has good stats. For example, I bought this player at Porto at the start of my time here. He had some very good stats, as you can see, but he couldn't score goals for me. As you can see here, he has 300 professional games and only 50 goals. When you see how he have performed earlier in his career, you can see he's not scoring many goals. So that's why I had doubts about him afterwards. And then I have bought this player, Karim Konate, where he was looking very good in the stats. He's good dribbling, finishing, and is pacey and good technique. He had the whole, but if it was going to be like the previous player and couldn't score goals, then maybe not. He was maybe not going to succeed. But as you can see, he's scoring every 2 matches, and that is much better than every 6 matches. So he was, of course, really good for me. As you can see, 14 goals, 14 appearances, and overall 29 goals in 23 appearances, and second season as well. Still very good, even though it wasn't the same. And then he was sold. So if he's an attacker and can score goals, then it's very good. But if he has played 100 matches and scored 20 goals, you wouldn't expect him to join your team and score 20 goals a season then. But I have mostly seen this problem with real players that is not regions from the game. But if the player is not an attacker, you can look at his average rating over here and just go to history, and then this is the average rating he has. As you can see, it was very good at my club.